Hello and welcome to Little State Big Voices with myself, Shahida, and my fabulous co-host, Tracey. I am a tiny bit under the weather, but how are you, Trace? A tiny bit.
I'm not laughing at you being under the weather. I'm just laughing because I'm just like, hey, y'all, it is December 22nd. We're recording in advance. We always record in advance and disperse our episodes on Monday, but I'm just in shock that Christmas is Wednesday.
Yeah, it really did. Somebody just asked me, "Did you get all your Christmas shopping done?" And I'm like, "Thank God I don't celebrate Christmas because
Hey, look.
hello, didn't have to worry about one thing."
hmm
But still, it's amazing that the year is almost over.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good in a like anxiety feeling, anxious feeling. It's a good
Hmm.
and an anxious feeling because I am kind of looking forward to just like turning over that new leaf,
Hmm.
2025, bring it on. Like, when you were a little kid and you thought, even though thinking of the year 2000 was like, that'll never happen. We'll never get to the year
Hmm.
2000. Like the fact that we're at 2025, like we're in allegedly in the Jetsons future. And
Not the
it's
Jetsons
not
future I
giving
wanted.
Jetsons, but we do what we can.
Yeah, 2024 was something. Did I feel like I did everything that I wanted to do? No. Am I looking forward to 2025? Not so much. Usually I'm just like really gung ho for the new year. I want to turn that page. And I do want to turn that page, but I feel like turning the page, we're going into like this completely unknown era because of, politics. Racism is really at a high level for us. We don't know really what's going to entail economically. Now, people complain about like eggs and bread and stuff now when I feel like it's been reasonable for a long time. The one that's like, I have economic anxiety because I don't know what is going to happen when the new administration comes in. All I can do is pray for the best.
Yeah. I mean, that literally, you can only control what you can control. I personally, have had this conversation with my therapist and I'm
Hmm.
feeling optimistic. I
Hmm.
would have been optimistic about it anyway. But, just working on mindfulness, there's something my therapist calls one mindfulness, where you just try to focus on doing the things that bring you joy. Like even if you just do it a few minutes a day, be it
Hmm.
I'm going to go outside and I'm going to admire these flowers in my yard, or I'm gonna, spend this amount of time with my loved one. It's that one mindfulness and not multitasking a bunch of different things, but actually focusing on
Hmm.
enjoying. And it's almost a form of meditation because
Hmm.
we can't control what may happen. But the thing is that
Hmm.
I firmly believe things are going to have to recalibrate at some point,
Hmm.
because how you can't have overwhelming suffering of the American public. You just can't have mass suffering of the entire American public. It will not do. And it just
Hmm.
it's not it's not just not going to be good for the country. And I think even this administration understands that on a
And when you
granular.
say that you can't have mass, I don't understand what that means.
In other words, like eggs can't go up to $17 a carton across the country.
Mhm,
It
mhm,
won't do. You know what I mean? That kind of abrupt like change in our economy, no one can afford that. Like very few people can afford that. So what I'm
mhm,
saying is they have to find some kind of way of enacting their bullshit that they want to enact, but at the same time making it enough for people to at least survive, but also hopefully to still be able to flourish in one way or another. And the entire administration is, it is a Republican president, but we still have Democrats in our government that are going to be fighting for other things. Look at this, we just avoided a government shutdown. They're going to have to work together. That's just the reality of it.
mhm.
And, that's just the way I feel about it. Some
So
things
I don't believe
can't
that the
change so
price of
dramatically.
eggs is gonna go astronomically high as like $17. But even $8 and $9 is high for somebody who can't afford it. And we did have like, there were eggs at a particular I hate even talking about these damn eggs. It really irks my nerves that people just kind of like, drove that. So I don't think it's going to be like a huge, no, I do think it's going to be huge because I think it's going to impact not only our groceries, but also like our utilities. We already see the impact on homes. We see the impact on, how the homeless have, even here in Rhode Island, in the last 4 years, it's gone up 32 more percent than what it was 8 years ago. And no one in government is really dealing with that. I didn't even understand that it was 8 years ago when they convened to talk about homelessness, and they're just reconvening now to talk when it's like one homeless person a day dies. That's what the Providence Journal was saying the other day when I was reading it, which I didn't know. And it's also something that I think we all need to pay attention. So when I say economic anxiety, it's more or less like where we are now. I think we are living a pretty decent life.
Mhm.
Whereas coming the next 4 years, it might be more of a struggle, whereas you're just surviving instead of thriving. So, and there's a difference in happiness when you're just surviving instead of thriving. It might be fine for you and me. I think, we have decent enough jobs, but on a whole, especially in that middle part of the country, I'm not so much worried about us on the East Coast or those on
Mhm.
the West Coast, but those in that middle that really thought that those eggs were really high, and you're in the farm belt. If you were suffering in the farm belt with groceries, then it's going to get even tougher for you. Not saying I have a lot of sympathy for them either, because I don't. All the black people, I do have a lot of sympathy for you in that middle where you're both in that.
But what I'm saying is it's not even it is the affordability, but on the same token, it's going to be the principle of it. Because even
Mhm.
people who are doing well financially don't want to pay those higher prices. So to my point, they'll either stop buying those products and they'll just shift to something else. So I don't think that it's going to make sense to not
But you can't stop
stabilize.
buying
You
groceries.
can't stop buying
So
groceries.
they will continue
You could
to
stop
buy
buying
those
eggs.
groceries. And you hear, like Elon Musk said, the first 2 years of their administration, when they start cutting all these things, he's like, you're going to suffer. He's not suffering. And that, that upper middle and top 1%, they won't suffer. But the middle class definitely will suffer because we support both both extremes. It's our taxes that support the country. So that's what I say when I say economic anxiety. How much more strain are you going to put on the middle class? How much more strain are you going to put on, people who are already just surviving?
Mhm.
And going into another 2 years where you're talking about getting rid of Social Security, or you're getting rid of, like, child care vouchers. That's insane. Can you and I, we don't have small children, but I listen to my coworkers talk about how much they spend in childcare and how much they would spend if they did not have, like, subsidies from either my job or from the state. It's outrageous. So when you tell people that they're going to suffer because you're going to get rid of programs like that you don't need, a billionaire you don't need, but those people do need that to survive, and you need childcare to even go to work.
Yeah.
So how's that
But
gonna
that's what
work?
I'm saying. It won't work. That's what I'm saying. It cannot work. What they're proposing cannot work because, like I said,
Mhm.
even those who can afford it will not want to pay those prices, or it will not work for the economy because
But they
who's going
don't
to go
have
to
to.
work?
Just like in talking about insurance, getting rid of our medical care, every politician that gets elected into office gets free childcare even after they leave. So you got Manchin and what's her name, Semina, who were supposed Democrats voting to get rid of those things, but they're always going to have medical care.
Yeah, let's start by cutting that. Cut
But
those
they're not gonna
legacy.
cut things that benefit them.
Cut
They're
those
only gonna
legacy
cut things that
services.
benefit they're only gonna cut benefits that benefit other people.
It cannot work because then who's going to go to work? Just the men, and maybe that's their strategy.
Could be.
Because who's gonna watch these kids? And who's gonna watch? And then I just don't see how it can work in the
Mhm.
most catastrophic way. It's not going to be conducive to our current economy. Women
Mhm.
contribute to that, men contribute to that, and it's overall, and the biggest chunk of people are those who are pretty much just doing enough, maybe
Mhm.
slightly comfortable. I don't even know if
Mhm.
I put myself in the comfortable category.
Mhm.
I'm probably comfortable for maybe I probably have a small cushion of comfortability. And I think that's most
I
Americans.
think most Americans have that small cushion as well. I mean, I feel like I would describe myself the same way. A small cushion of comfortability and security.
Hmm.
Small cushion of security because you just never know from one week to another if you're even going to have a job. And that's just in everybody's situation because you don't
Yeah.
know where layoffs come up. And then look at all the companies that are laying off so many people.
But that's every year.
Amazon just laid off a bunch of people, but yet you're building more, but yet you just laid off thousands of people.
Yeah,
That's
it's
insane
not
to
that
me.
they don't have the money. They have the money. It's just how do they want to spend it? So
And they
as
don't want
long
to spend it on workers.
every company I've ever worked for has had layoffs, every single company. And having a little bit of insight into the tech sector, this is just commonplace. Like third,
Hmm.
fourth quarter, layoffs are almost imminent, and then they're still out there with job postings. They're still
Hmm.
out there with an ad on the Super Bowl. They're still out there at these mega conferences with these huge, booths that are bigger than some people's apartment. It's not that the companies don't have the money, it's that they're trying to recalibrate their spending.
Hmm.
Yes, but
And like I
yeah.
think I read something on Robert Reich. He's good on Instagram, but he said Walmart just laid off like all these people and said that part of the reason was because the price of everything was going up, so they had to lay off a lot of cashiers. But yet you got rid of all the cashiers and you have all the people cashing out their themselves. So then how come the food hasn't come down?
But I'm gonna tell you right
Save
now, that's
money by not hiring people. You never paid for insurance. They've never paid for insurance for any of their customers. So that wasn't a cost. It just comes down to how much more money they can get for their stockholders and for themselves.
so I just went to Walmart and bought pajamas for $5. Okay.
But yeah, it's like the end of the year sale.
And you have money to pay Busta Rhymes to be your spokesman. So
Who?
y'all have some like, do you need a high I don't know if he's high celebrity profile anymore, but all of these companies are hiring celebrities to represent them. Stop hiring these celebrities. Just have a regular commercial. I don't need a Walmart commercial if I'm being honest with you. I already know you're there. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And Coca-Cola, we know you're there, but you're going to keep advertising. That's just that way. It's
But
corporate
that's already
greed.
part of their budget because
Yeah,
that
it's part of their budget, it's
benefits
part of
them,
what
like
they
you
do.
said.
But, and you talk about homelessness, we have that whole little community of homeless housing that they built off of 95 that I believe remains unoccupied. So, what's the problem with that? Why aren't you
Just
putting
what?
people? It's right off 95. It's actually right behind the Foxy Lady. So there's like all these little white tent houses, and those were supposed to be built to solve the homeless problem because they cleared a lot of the people who were in tents
Hmm.
off of the other side of 95, the other side of the highway, not
And they're
95, but
empty.
they were empty like a few months ago, and they've been there for months.
Oh, I never even heard. I never.
And they're climate controlled, all of that. I don't know what they're doing about it, but
Hmm.
yeah, long story short, I know we could go into 2025 like doom and gloom. I'm choosing to, like I said, I'm choosing to like serenity prayer, control the things that I can control. I don't know what the future is going to look like. I know that we have a lot of things that we can be concerned about, but until they
Hmm.
actually pull the trigger on some of the stuff that they're saying that they're going to do, I don't even know if I believe them, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
we'll
political
definitely see
promises,
when it happens. No, I don't think they've made us really any political
well,
promises
those are the
other
promises. The promises are
than
not to
the
us.
helping them.
The promises are to their base. So,
Hmm.
what politician honors their promises?
Hmm.
Usually, not many. So, I don't see how this situation would be any different.
Hmm.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. Not
Mm.
looking forward to it, but like you said, you have to control how you look at it. I'm probably more doom and gloom than I'm not so much doom and gloom. I'm more like I'm in my bubble and that's where I choose to stay.
Hmm. Yep, and that's a good place to stay.
Mhm,
Work your job, deal with your
mhm,
family, you know, find joy where you can find joy in those opportunities,
mhm.
and then, take it day by day. That's all we can do.
One thing I think that as Rhode Islanders that we do need to think about, and I'm gonna give myself some time before I get back into like thinking about politics, is our new a new governor. I really
Mm.
think that I don't even know what's out there. Like, what we could who could actually run. I have never been so disappointed in a governor as I am of McKee, and understand that there's always going to be a buddy system. I understand that, people are going to put, who their friends who they think no, I don't even know if they know or think that these people can do a good job. It's just, you're my friend. I'm going to put you in this position. Do the best that you can. And we've seen a lot of that with him, even though he has claimed from the very beginning, as all politicians do, he's coming from a different place where he's, going for the best candidate, not just his friends. And I haven't seen that at all. And I haven't seen any black representation, in my opinion, in
Mm.
high visible jobs. Haven't seen that from him at all in the state of Rhode Island. But thank God we do have, at least we have, Senator Gabe Amo. At least we have that as a representation. But on the local level, no. No.
There's another young woman, and I can't remember her name. It's like Tiana or Tiara.
Okay, I know who you're talking about. Yep, her.
Yeah. So, I mean, we work
And
in
she
progress.
and she's working a lot with him, but definitely we need to start thinking about who we're gonna put in place to run against McKee. Gotta think about that.
Yeah.
And as Democrats, we really have to start doing more vetting of our candidates, not just that they have a D next to their name,
Mm.
because we end up with a lot of like really bad candidates who go in and are just as really are not for the people. And one thing I can say about Gabe, I feel like that man is all over the place. He really has his intentions are really good to do a great job in the job that he's in. And we just need to see a lot more of that in Rhode Island. I feel like Rhode Islanders who are born here, when they say it's just a lot of crooked politics, a lot of, nepotism, I see it a lot more than I used to.
Mm. Yeah. And Gabe does say booked and busy. I always go on his Instagram and he is out and about shaking hands, kissing babies, and
I
doing.
feel sorry for him in his job going back to Washington, though,
Yeah.
who
They
he has
they
to sit next to.
uphill battle, but you know what? He's got Ocasio Cortez. He's got Ayanna Presley. He's got some really great colleagues out there in Washington,
Mhm,
and I don't think that they're going to be any less fiery. If anything, I think there's going to be more of a fire lit under these
mhm,
people. And if we can do things on a local level, like if that's what it comes down to,
mhm,
on the state level, I think that'll be
definitely.
good because I think right now as a state, we do have a good opportunity here.
Mhm,
Counterparts in Massachusetts, they have good representation
mhm,
over there. I think as a state, we're good. I don't know about other people's states or what's going to happen in those states. Like y'all might want to start getting a contingency plan together. I know England now requires you, I think starting in 2025, you have to ask
yeah,
permission to enter England. These countries, I think they realize that people are going to be trying to leave, that they're going to try to
mhm,
expatriate to other countries. So you know, time will
mm,
tell.
mhm. As I have my 5 pound
Oh, you're fine.
right here
I
at my
didn't
desk.
change any money. I didn't change a single dime when I went to
I know,
England.
I was surprised I did. How did I get for my Devil Wear Prada tickets? The woman who bought my tickets, she paid in
Oh, she did cash. Okay, got you. Nope, I used my cards and my Apple Pay the entire like
mhm,
England was lit for Apple Pay. Okay,
it
they
really
were they
was.
were ready for that digital coin.
So, all
So
right, well, that was a lot.
it was a lot. It was a lot, and We're not a political podcast, but we tend to find our way there on occasion. But
Well,
speaking
because
of
it's lifestyle, and that's just part of your lifestyle.
But speaking of politic adjacent happenings around Rhode Island, we have the nephew of our Rhode Island, one of our Rhode Island police chiefs. So the Providence police chief, his nephew was sentenced to 22, I think 22 and a half years. Not sure where the 6 months came from. But Josh
Mhm,
Perez was sentenced for fentanyl. He was distributing fentanyl and some other, he pleaded guilty to these
mhm,
charges and some other conspiracies. But that's major. Your uncle is, and I believe one of the other family members is also part of the Providence Police Department. So that's
mhm.
heavy when you have a convicted drug dealer in your family and you are the chief of police in Providence. But I mean, I guess it was a
Is
large
he still
scale.
a current chief? Because I remember hearing
Yeah. He's
he is.
he's
Oh, wow.
actively the chief. Yeah. Yeah, so that's crazy. And it apparently was a large scale, like multi-state
Yeah, they called him
fentanyl.
a drug kingpin.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm just like, okay. And I'm not saying anybody knew anything. I'm just saying y'all at Thanksgiving. You don't know when this man pulls up in a G-Wagon every month or something like how do you not know that
Mhm.
someone in your family is a drug kingpin? Like I feel like there are signs.
Yeah. I mean, well, if you're a cop, there definitely should be signs because you should be on the lookout for all illegal things, especially in your family.
But then so the thing is, do you turn your nephew in?
Yeah.
You would turn your nephew in?
If I am a police officer and
Chief of police.
and that's what I was gonna say, if I am a police officer or I am chief of police or I am in any way part of the police force and I'm in higher office, I'm gonna tell you, you either have to stop this or I will turn you in
Yeah.
because that's my job. And it's the hardest thing to do is your job when it comes to your family, but then your family can also be taking advantage of that. So, in order for me to be able to do my job and then to have the people who work under me trust me and have the constituents that I work for trust me, I have to turn them in. Now, that's a lot of big talk from somebody who's not in that job and whose relative is not doing it. I would hope that that's what I would do. That's all, I'm saying. So
Yeah.
him not doing it, I understand it, but he should have done it. And I don't accept that you didn't know because part of your job is knowing, especially
Like that discernment,
as
right?
much as like what?
That discernment, like you're just like I feel like there are like there are just clues like what so I'm like was this guy just so good? And he's
He couldn't have
36
been that
years old. He's 36
good.
years old. So he's going to spend the better part of his good years cuz like
Mhm,
life starts in your 30s. I feel like, you know what
mhm,
I mean? Like you get out of your 20s, you get into your 30s, like that missing that 22 years and getting out of jail when you're what, 58 years old?
mhm,
That's gonna suck. I mean, obviously, if he pled guilty and if he did these crimes, this is the sentence. And I'm guessing he probably understood what
mhm,
the risk that he was taking. But I was just like, that is, that's a long time. And I just think about like my nieces and nephews or any of my family members. Like I
mhm,
understand the conflict, like the internal conflict of saying, okay, I have this role in society, which is to keep law and order. Do I turn my niece or nephew or my family member in? Like that must be such a quandary. Even though you know the right thing to do, it's
mhm.
probably a very difficult decision to
I
make
think
it.
I would be more angry too because you put me in such a bad
Yeah.
position, because who trusts this man at this point? I
Right.
mean,
What does
because
it mean for
you
this guy's
saying,
career? This
yeah,
police
you
chief's career.
saying that if him saying that he didn't know makes him look bad. Him knowing makes him look bad. So no matter what the situation is, he looks bad. And you did that. You did that to your uncle.
Yeah.
And I would be angry about that because, I always tell my kids that when people say stuff like, this is my life and I'm going to do with it what I want. but you owe people. You owe
It
people.
reflects. It reflects on the
You know?
family.
And you just can't go out into the world and shoot and murder and sell drugs to people or whatever without that being some consequence on other people. You know? I mean, I have relatives that have done, bad things like selling drugs or something like that. And, people like I even had one who's even worse. Who used to work at Grove Hall. People be like, "Oh, I saw your cousin at," well, yeah, I know what she was doing. You know what
Oh,
that was embarrassing, but it still is my cousin, and when I would see her at Grove Hall, I would still speak to her.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I know it's hard when people make those kind of decisions, and it can be very embarrassing to the family members. So you need to think about those things. And I
Yeah.
and I cannot believe that you being the chief of police in Providence do not know what's going on in Providence.
And big
And
up
it's that
to our
close.
sex workers, because you know what? You ain't killing nobody. Fentanyl kills
No, they're
people.
not.
You know what I'm
They're
saying?
not.
If anything, your cousin was bringing some joy to the lives of
She doesn't do that anymore. She
some
was going through a
customers.
very bad time. I
But you
don't
know
know
what? No
what.
shame. Listen, we listen and we do not judge our sex workers on this
Mhm.
podcast. So, but
She wasn't, I mean, drugs had a lot to
yeah,
do with it at the time. So she was, really on she's much better. This was like, 20 something years ago. But again, we all had to deal with that.
yeah,
You know, even though she thought that she was living her life and doing what it is that she wanted to do, we all had to live that through that with her to an extent.
yeah. It's just, these types of things resonate. And
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. It just seems like like I said, I feel like there might have been signs. But in other Rhode Island news, we had a huge data breach to attack
Mhm.
our state website. Apparently, ransomware got attached to our state website, affecting people who are on public assistance. Which I'm like, what information are you trying to steal from these people? Like, do you think they have good credit? Like, I don't understand why. But it happened. It's not a laughing matter. And right
Mhm.
now, our state is scrambling right now because of the cybersecurity breach. And there are updates, there's a whole website, there's a hotline you can call, but it does impact people who are on like financial assistance for healthcare, financial assistance for food stamps, things like that. And it's sad because a lot of those people don't have a lot of resources to begin with. So for their information to be compromised is really unfortunate. And now what they're recommending, if anyone feels like they may have been impacted or know people impacted, to freeze your credit with the three credit bureaus. And that in and of itself is kind of jacked up because of the digital divide. So usually people who are underserved are not as tech savvy or don't have the tech resources to go and say, I'm going to contact the you know, three credit bureaus and I'm going to go online and freeze my credit. It might be trying to make a phone call, and some of these resources are backed up. So for example, the hotline that they've given people to call for the state, people were on hold for over an hour the other day.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's really jacked up. But even if you don't know if you've been affected, just go ahead and freeze your credit. What that will do is, if someone tries to use your data to open credit cards or take out loans or anything like that, the credit bureau will get pinged and they will deny any of those applications. So that's like the
And I
best
feel
course
like
of action.
a lot of people think because it's people who are on SNAP or, Neighborhood Health of Rhode Island, those resources, that because they don't have any money personally, that it's not a big deal if somebody takes your credit or steals your identity. It is a huge deal, regardless of
Yeah.
what level of income that you're in. But also, we concentrate so much more on like the credit aspect of it, but your identity is really what a lot of backdoor hackers really want.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though, I'm never the one to downplay, somebody coming into the country illegally, because I feel like we're all here illegally, except for those who were brought here. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but your identity could be used by somebody that is not a citizen.
Yeah.
That's and that's being sold on the black market, and that's probably where you'll see the more danger. And so, I mean, take it seriously. It is, I think it's being hacked within the addresses and numbers within the last 8 years. So it doesn't go back that long, but that's long enough.
Yes, and I cannot emphasize more. Again, this is coming from the tech world. Two-step authentication, two-factor
Mhm,
authentication. Put your information in there so that if somebody's trying to do something, log into any of your accounts, you're getting a text on your phone, you're getting an email saying, "Hey, plug this number in." And please change your passwords, people. You
mhm.
make that strong password. If you can put some symbols in there, stop using your
Make it a
birthday.
sentence. I've heard that's the best one is to make it
Yeah,
a short sentence.
use a phrase. Stop using your birthday. Stop using your anniversary. That information is out there. Stop using password as a password because people are
Mhm,
stop using 1 2 3 4.
mhm,
People are easily going to be able to hack that. So, it is what it is.
mhm,
And there's also different news sources. So channel 12 has a number you can call if you're experiencing issues with this. I think channel 10 has one as well. The state has their own website. We'll
mhm,
post these resources up, but it's really jacked up that people
mhm,
are falling victim to this, especially when our school department's website already got hacked. So that already
mhm.
happened a few months ago, so it should have been kind of like a foreshadowing. You would think they'd be like, okay, that wasn't buttoned down. Let's make sure our other things are buttoned down. And I guess this could happen elsewhere. But I also read somewhere, and I wish I had saved the article to really give you a word for word. Back in 2018, I believe Rhode Island already sued Google for a breach of the state website. So this is not even like something new.
My mayor got a nice little chunk of change for North Providence, and that's why we have new parks.
Like,
All our parks have been redone because we got money from Google for that breach.
yeah, they should have used some of that money to tighten up our state website. Now you could go
Maybe
sit
we
in the
didn't
park on a
see. I
bench
don't
and
know.
go sit in the park on a bench and cry about it. Like, come
Mhm,
on now.
mhm. Well, th- go to talk to the governor. That's why I said we need to really think about the governor.
But I'm gonna be honest, I would not want to be governor, president. I wouldn't want any of those jobs. Like that is such a heavy job for anybody. You like before you go
Mhm.
into that position, and it's like before you even get in the door, do you know how many favors these people owe? Before they even sit at their desk for the first time, they owe so many favors that
Yeah.
it's just a hot mess. But anyway, there are great things that are happening in Providence too, and I can name two of them.
Go ahead, because I know you got one that's really great.
So, which one? Well, they're both really good. So, the first one I'll lead with is that this Saturday, December 28th, Connection Carousel and Neuro Match are going to be doing a speed dating event for people who have neurodiversity or identify as neurodiverse. That can mean autism, Down syndrome, ADHD, depression, any number, if you fit under that umbrella
Okay.
of neurodiverse, dyslexic, that's one of them. Come out, or if you're open to dating people who live with these type of neurodiversities, come out. It is
Mhm,
a 21 plus event. It's going to happen at Everett Stage. It's completely free. It doesn't cost you anything. There'll be food,
mhm.
there'll be raffles, there'll be fun, photos, games, all of that. It's 2 hours. It starts at
What's
5.
Everett Stage? I had not heard of that
And
before.
so Everett Stage is actually this really great theater in Providence. It's
Mhm.
off of North Main Street, and we'll post all the details. But it's very accessible. You can take the RIPTA there,
Off.
or you can drive. It's off North Main Street.
Okay.
So they actually do improvisational classes there. There's a children's
Mhm,
theater. They have some spoken word events there. It's really amazing. So hopefully we'll get a spotlight on Everett Theater as well
mhm.
as one of the, just really great resources for arts and culture in the community.
That is an excellent idea. An excellent event. I'm
Yeah.
happy you pulled that together.
I know. It's our first one. So I was
Mhm,
inspired by what is it called? Love on the Spectrum, and by my son Noah. So
mhm,
those were my inspirations for doing this. And my co-organizer is his former teacher. And we were
mhm,
just like, Noah is such a great guy. Like honestly,
mhm.
we
He
want to
is a
see
sweetheart.
We want to see what we could do to maybe get him and people who are like him, like high functioning
Mhm.
individuals who are just out here trying to find their way and trying to date and navigate the dating scene, and maybe dating apps are not ideal or really made for people like that. So I don't know if dating apps are made for anyone at this point, because it's just like it's the Wild West out here from what I hear when
It
it
is
comes
the
to
Wild West.
dating. So we figure we try something a little bit different.
Oh, that's great. So what's the other big news?
The other, what I consider amazing news, because I love
Mhm,
to eat, is that
mhm,
Providence just received its chain restaurant, our sister restaurant of the Suya joint, in which is down
mhm,
Dudley in Boston, Massachusetts. Suya joint opened on Westminster Street here in Providence yesterday, and
mhm,
I hightailed it over there. So I went
mhm,
over there to see what the goings on were, and
mhm,
I mean, gorgeous decor, full bar. And so, yes, in addition to amazing West African food, full bar, gorgeous, friendly, and professional staff. I met Melanie, who was, I mean, just a ray of sunshine. When I walked in the
mhm,
door, I was like, "Oh my goodness, I feel so happy just to
mhm,
be
mhm.
be here."
What'd
It's
you have?
so I actually bought some of their patties to go. So they're the ones
Mhm,
you can warm up at home. And I
mm,
also
okay.
bought some African stew, which they have a little retail space where you can buy
Mhm,
prepared food, and then you can also order food and sit down. So I didn't want to eat alone when I went, but normally I don't have a problem eating alone. But I feel like Suya Joint needs to be enjoyed like in a group. I want to go with friends and I want to
okay.
enjoy it. So you should come with me next time I go, which is gonna be soon. I think I'll be there this week.
And I want our listeners to know that I am not the best. I don't have the best tongue palate because I am a very simple eater. And trying different foods, it's hard for me, but I've been better. I've been doing better. Tracy will try any and everything. So yeah, I gotta hang out with her more and go into these different restaurants. But African food, it has been hard for me.
So
It has been hard for
It's
me,
West
other than the
African.
rice.
And
Other
I
than the rice.
well, so you can have some nice jollof.
Mm,
They have a goosey stew. So suya it's called suya joint. Suya is like a meat on a stick. It's like a skewer. So you maybe
okay.
start with some suya. It's beef and it's just like beautifully seasoned. Their meat patties are amazing. You like the hand pies that you had in England. So maybe you could do like a hand pie.
Oh, you
Yeah.
mean the meat pie?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that meat pie. But that's
Yeah.
basic stuff.
Listen, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be insane. But I'm telling you, I'm a big fan of their Roxbury location. So when I ever
Mhm.
found out they were opening in Providence, I was like, yes,
And
thank you.
where are they in Roxbury?
They're in Dudley. So, if you're from Boston, you say down Dudley.
Okay.
They are down Dudley. So they are on Dudley Street, actually.
Okay.
So if you
Oh,
were,
you know what? I did. Are they across from that little theater?
yes, yes.
I did have dinner there after we had went to go see a August Wilson play
Mhm.
across the street, and it was myself and my aunts, my mom, and everything. It was about nine of us, and we had dinner over there. Okay, so
Yeah.
I've had their food
Next door to
before.
the Barrett's. Remember the
Yep,
Barrett's?
I had
It's
their
right
food
there.
before,
Yeah. And
and
so
it was really good. It
what
was
I
really.
what I like is that it feels like someone's auntie is back there cooking. And I think that's what's happening. I think someone's
Mhm.
auntie is
Is
back there
back.
making food. Yes. So
Okay, okay, yeah, I had that food. Yeah, it was really good. And we had a sorry, my throat hurts so bad. It's not COVID, it's just a
I made her test
regular
y'all.
cold. Just a regular cold. But I forget what I had. I think I had like smothered chicken, the rice. I think we had patties that day too. It was yeah, because it was a couple of years ago. Well, yeah, all right. So I definitely will give them a try. See what
Yeah.
their Providence location is like.
And when I was walking in, there was some really like good looking young men going over there too to
Okay.
get some
Oh,
food. and they held the door for me and they sat down and they were getting some food. Like it was such a vibe. It was like such a
Mhm.
nice energy going in there. And I was like,
Mhm.
I would personally definitely pop up there a couple times a
Mhm.
month. I can feel that being one of the spots, like in
Mhm.
addition to Ken, in addition to some of the other restaurants that are like staples of the downtown area.
Mhm.
And so the woman who served me was saying that it's her first week living in, she relocated here for the
Oh, get
position.
out.
And she said
Uh-huh.
it's her first week and she absolutely loves it. Like she loves the energy of Providence. So
Mhm.
I was like,
Mhm.
oh, we might have to get her on the show because
We have to
we're
get her.
all about transplanting from Mass to Rhode Island. So I said I might have to get Melanie on the show and get her vibes after she's been here
Mhm.
for a little bit.
That's cool. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's I always encourage people to move to Rhode Island. I love it here. I say it all the time. Even though I started off with like, I don't know what the hell is going on with our politics, but the actual living here, it in the slower pace. Like I love Boston. I really do. I mean, every time I go home and I pass that gas tank and I see the skyline of downtown, I love it. But it is just too crowded.
Mm,
I think that's my only beef with it right now is just so many people, so many cars, so much traffic compared to what it was like 20 years ago.
yeah.
But I love it. Still love it. Anyway, so I want to tell this stupid story. So I haven't seen my grandson in like 2 weeks. So this is the first time that he's been over this weekend. So yesterday we did a marathon of like horror Christmas movies. And we were watching something, and he was just like, I'm sleeping in somebody's bed tonight. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna go sleep at the police station
Oh
because
my
it
gosh.
was so funny. But we went to go see Sonic the
Okay.
Hedgehog 3 today. He begged, begged, begged. I did not want to see that. I wanted to see Mustafa. And he was just like, no, he didn't want to see that. I don't know why. Did not want to see it. We saw that movie. When I say, I'm sorry, folks, that was straight trash.
Okay, so Elijah saw it the other day and he did not care for it. He was like,
Okay.
no.
He was like, as soon as the credits started rolling, he said, "Let's go." He's like, "Yeah, that was it was bad. This is why we should have." And the girl who we bought the tickets from, and we were in Lincoln, she was like, "Oh no, it was so funny. I really liked it. I think you're gonna laugh a lot." I said, "Girl, I'm trying everything I have not to fight you right now because you know that wasn't funny. That
Not
movie
her
was
at the
funny."
ticket booth of pushing
I said, "Which
Sonic.
one which one is better, Sonic or Mustafa?" And she was just like, "Oh, Sonic," but she had a big Sonic cup.
How about I don't want to see neither one of those movies. I don't want to see Mufasa. I don't care about Scar's origin story. I can wait for it to come on
I
Disney
feel
Plus.
like they're lying about Scar's origin story because it's like he wasn't even related to Mufasa. Like he was
He
some
is. He's
stray.
his brother.
Yeah, but from the commercial, it sounds like they're not even blood related. That they are like he was a stray or something.
Nah,
That's why I gotta see it.
he's
They changed it
illegitimate.
up.
He got a different daddy.
Maybe, maybe I do want to see it, and I still want to see Wicked.
Don't care. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because live action Lion King, I fell asleep in the theater.
I still haven't seen the live action one.
You missed nothing. I'm good.
I still haven't seen it. Matter of fact, maybe I should watch it on Disney before
The
I
only thing
rent.
I want to see right now is the 688. I'm gonna watch it on Netflix. I'm not gonna go to the
Mhm.
theater and watch it. I don't even know if it's in the theater, but
I think it's only on Netflix.
I'm gonna watch that on Netflix. And the only reason I haven't watched it yet is because I'm waiting for Ralph so we can watch it together. And then
Hmm.
I do want to see Wicked. So
I want to see Wicked before it leaves the theater. I do. I'm one of those people like I know the intention behind these great movies that come out and, with Kerry Washington in it, looks phenomenal. But sometimes I just don't have it to watch it. But it might be on a different level because Tuskegee Airmen was absolutely fabulous to me. And they didn't focus so much on the race and it focused more on their brotherhood. And it looks like this one will be the same. So you tell me how it is after you see it because I don't want to see them being mistreated.
let me put it into context because I'm not a fan of black trauma. So
Yeah.
the young lady from Blackish, how she was like, I'm not here for
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, Black emotional trauma and distress. Nor am I. Like, I'm not.
Mhm.
I don't want to see
Exactly.
no civil rights movie. Usually, like, I'm not really here for Thurgood. I've never seen any of those. The reason I'm so anxious to see this movie is because about 2 months ago, maybe it was in the summer, August maybe, I was on a plane and accidentally watched a documentary about the 688. Not even related to Tyler. I don't even think Tyler Perry was involved in that. And I was just looking for something to watch to pass the time on the plane. When I tell you, those women are so inspiring, so phenomenal. And they
Mhm.
had the actual female soldiers. Some of
Mhm.
them are in their 90s and hundreds years old, and they were talking about their experience. So they have to touch on the racism because that's the reason we're
I
just now
know,
hearing
I know.
about them.
But sometimes, like, you can do like, with Tuskegee Airmen, they did touch on it, but it wasn't
It
so
wasn't like,
long that it just hurt your heart, you know what I mean? So,
but I think it's more of story of like it's more an uplifting story
uplifting.
and it's more a morale thing because so I started let's put it like so if I'm being transparent, we started watching the movie, but my husband is known to fall asleep when we're watching something and I'm not about to be rewinding, none of
Mhm.
that. Because what's gonna happen is if we have not watched it in the next 2 days, I'm gonna watch it by myself. That's what's
Uh-huh.
gonna happen. But I do want to watch it together with him because I really want to see his reaction to it.
Mhm.
But when I was watching the documentary, I just loved it so much. The fact that they were Black, the fact that they were women played a role in why they were discounted so much and the story was never told. But how, when the movie started, there are no Black people in the first, like, I would say 5 minutes that I watched. There are no Black people in it. It frames it in such a way that you understand better why these women were so important. They happen
Mhm.
to be Black, they happen to be women, but what
Mhm.
they did, it frames
Mhm.
from the very first opening scene why what they did was so
Mhm.
crucial to the war effort and the success of us. Because what would this world be if we had lost World War II? And would we have lost World War II if morale had been so low? Because the correspondence, those reassurances from family, I love you, I miss you, when you get back, we're going to get married, all that mail correspondence that was jammed up. If
Mhm.
that had didn't flow, like, could we have lost World War II because of that? Like, there's so many scenarios of what could have happened if they hadn't done their job the way they did it.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
think it's more a story of uplifting than anything else.
Mhm. Yeah, seen the previews a little, and I'm like, oh, it looks really good, and I loved how Kerry Washington is presenting herself in the movie. It looks phenomenal, and
Yeah.
I'm going to, after you tell me how it is, I'll suck it up and go
Yeah,
watch.
I'm gonna watch it. I don't think I'll be disappointed, to be honest.
Mhm.
I don't see how, I guess I could be, but I don't think that I will because the other lady that I really love is it Anjanou Ellis?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I don't know if she's in it, but I do like her, and usually the projects that she picks, she's usually
Yeah.
very good.
So, and honestly, of course, when you think Tyler Perry, you can't help but think Medea. And when I started watching the movie, I was just like, wow, the glow up of Tyler Perry in his studio and his production. I mean, the glow up is so serious.
But I think the difference is sometimes, like, there are things that he writes only him. Like, I don't know if he wrote this one, but then there are other things that he just produces that are really good,
Hmm. And the
So,
fact that he greenlit it, the
but
fact that he,
I liked Medea, so I'm
yeah,
like one of
no, Medea was
I like Medea
hilarious. I used to watch it on the bootlegs when it was just in the
in the plays,
in the plays. Yeah, I remember my
I only
friend
saw
saying,
2 of the plays when they were came to the Strand, like, in the '80s, early '90s or whatever, but yeah, I did like Medea, she was funny.
yeah, I just remember my friend like pulling out this bootleg VCR tape. Wasn't even a
Mhm,
DVD, it was a VCR, VHS,
mhm.
and saying, "Oh, let's watch this." And I'm like, "What are we watching?" And now to see that transformation,
I know.
phenomenal.
I
Happy
know.
about
I
it.
mean, say what you want about him, he did his thing. From sleeping in his car to where he is now, you got to
Yeah,
give him props too. So,
for
but
sure.
yeah, I definitely want to see that. I don't think there's anything else. The movies are not like they used to be, but there is something supposed to be coming out on Christmas, another black film.
Oh, is it Issa Rae produced with SZA in it?
I think so.
It's like two young girls sitting on a couch in the promo poster.
No, I don't think that's it. I don't think
Well,
so, 'cause I think
that
this was
movie is
more.
coming, and it's produced by Issa Rae. It's like it's a buddy comedy with these two black women. The
Mhm,
singer SZA is one of the actors in it, so she's definitely flexing like her creative muscles because I only know her as a singer. I don't know
mhm,
her acting experience, but I'm
mhm.
obsessed with SZA. Anybody who knows me knows that like I'm low key like a mini SZA stalker. I think I'm one of her top listeners in my Spotify Wrapped, and I was last year too. So for the last couple of years consecutively, she's my
Mhm,
top listened and
uh-huh,
like the one I listened to for the most consecutive days. All of that. Last year, she did a video for all of her top listeners, just like thanking them, a personalized video. Now, mind you, how many thousands of people got this video? Right? It's one
mhm,
video. It's not like she said my name.
mhm.
Why was I crying?
Like how Spotify, okay. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
you get your
girl.
Wrapped, you're like your year in review, and it shows you. And guess what? One of my top podcasts was so my top 5 podcasts that I listen
What,
to:
Little State, Big Voices?
Little State Big Voices and Still Dope Podcast.
I know, we have not been on in a minute.
That was in my
There's a
top.
lot going on with my other crew, but hopefully we'll get back to it, in the new year.
Yeah,
I miss my other family.
podcasts on my security blanket. Like those are that's what I do to make
Oh,
myself feel
see
good.
but you know what? I stopped listening to political podcasts, so I'm not
Please
listening
do.
to those.
Yeah, please stop.
I even stopped listening to the murder podcast.
Mm,
There was like about five or six that I would listen to, and then one day I was listening to one, and it was gruesome,
yeah.
and I'm listening to how the podcasters are talking about it, and then they're joking, and you do have to make it light, and there's a fine line, but I was just like, it was just too much. I was just like, I have to take a break from that too. So lately I've only been listening to like, pretty much so like very light lifestyle type
Mm,
podcasts. My favorite right now is Your Aunties Could Never out of Britain. I was trying so hard to hook up with them while we were there, and of course ours. But yeah, I've been keeping it very light podcast wise. I'm looking for good stories though, because there were a couple of like Julianne Moore did something like last year, and it was just like a thriller
mhm.
podcast. But just I'm looking for more of those, just stories.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I don't want
True
any of the
crime can get really heavy, and I
yeah.
like that's become a thing now. It's like a little bit of a bragging right for some people, like how
Mhm.
much true crime they intake. And I'm like,
That's true.
you a little bit fetishizing that a little bit too
Yeah.
much for my taste. Like there's all kinds of like products like pillows and socks and everything that are like, oh, true crime. People are getting like the Stanley Cups customized with the blood dripping down them, like, oh, I'm a true crime junkie. I'm like, you might need to talk to someone about.
Yeah, I don't like
And
that.
I mean, I think it's good in moderation, just like anything else. But those are all
Yeah.
mood altering things. Like
Yeah.
what you take in, be it true, like
Mhm.
overzealous, intake of true crime. Even listening to sad music consistently for a long
Yeah.
time can alter your mood. So you have to like really check in with yourself and see like
Mhm.
how am I feeling and what am I doing that is causing some of these feelings that may be external.
Mhm.
And don't get me wrong, I don't mind a true crime podcast. I really actually like Sisters Who Kill, which is specifically black
That was the
women
one I was talking about.
who commit murder. And I've only listened to a few episodes, but I
When
was
I
like,
didn't
wow, they
They joke around a little too much
you
now.
think so?
I think when they started, it was a little bit more serious. And again, it's a fine line, but if that's what your demographic likes, do what makes you money, and
Yeah.
I just couldn't anymore. That
It's
was it
not
was
my go-to. Like I like things that are a little more light. Like I really when I definitely want to feel good, I'll listen to Please Delete This. I was listening today, like they were wrapping presents. They were having like a gift wrapping challenge. which was cute. I thought that was funny and light. They talk about their kids, they talk about their family, of course, still dope because I like the banter between you, Chris, and Tanya. I really love Scam Goddess. So while I get my dose of crime,
I
people
do like
usually
Scam
don't
Guy.
die in her podcast. So Scam Goddess is another one. And I also love Carefully Reckless, which is just hilarious. The comic
Okay,
and
I haven't.
influencer. She's the host of that. And so in a rebranding, because she used to be like Just with the Mess, that was her brand.
Mhm,
And she wanted to pivot away from that and maybe do some like, level up on her brand. So Carefully Reckless is people sending in like letters asking for her for advice and her giving advice. And I feel like everything she says, I would say 99% of her advice is the
mhm,
same advice that I would give someone. I'm like, I wish someone would send us some letters. I would
mhm.
love to respond to a
Send
listener
us some
letter.
letters
Yeah.
because I feel like most people's problems, even if you are suffering an issue, you're usually pretty good with giving people, common sense advice.
Yeah.
I think most people will give that's I like what is it? I like reading like Am I the Assholes on Reddit. Most of the time, some people get like a little crazy, but most of the advice is just common sense advice. And how do you handle stuff? And a lot of times people are being not the asshole. It's usually their friends and family.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, yeah. I know. We should make up a list of our top tens for our end of the year.
Yeah.
Like our top 10 movies that we watched this year. Ooh,
Yeah.
I would love that. Our top 10 maybe top five. Top five for everything.
Yeah. Top five. Because I don't even know if I've watched 10 movies. I have. Don't.
And
I
I watched
have.
10 movies, I think, this weekend.
I just don't even know if I remember. I
I know
usually.
I would definitely have to go back and look and then figure out which one because that top 10 that would be in my top 10 series is the one I asked you and you saw it. What was it?
Yes. September.
September Mornings.
September morning.
It was so good. It's on Amazon. I'm just it's a Brazilian story. It's about this man who's transitioning to a woman who has transitioned and finds out that he has a 10-year-old son and he is not the nicest person. She is not the nicest person in the beginning of the movie on trying to accept this child. And then the second season was I'm sorry, I gotta learn how to do better with my pronouns. But anyway, she accepting her father and her father accepting her, so it
Mm.
was really heartwarming. I really enjoyed that show. I binged the whole thing from Friday to yesterday morning.
Yeah. Let's pull a top. Let's pull a top five. We'll do
A top five movie.
movies, TV, podcasts, and
Yeah, I got some good
songs,
ones for
music.
TV. Podcasts and music. Now music would be hard for me because you guys are into music. I'm not really into music. I'm more into like TV and books. Let's do books too.
Okay, well, I'll do music because
I
I
can
definitely
do
am a person.
music, but it'll be lame.
Hey,
I
listen,
it'll
we
probably be
listen
Kendrick Lamar,
and we
whatever
don't.
was like super popular.
Oh my
No,
gosh!
I think I have some good ones. I think I have
So
some good.
I know we're at time, but Kendrick Lamar just dropped a new album.
I like it.
GNX, SZA just dropped a new album. Lana, please listen. They're going on tour next year. They're
Okay,
probably
because
gonna
I don't name a popular song that SZA sings that I would know.
I Hate You, Snooze, All the Stars. Oh my gosh,
I know
SZA
all
has
the
so many
stars.
songs. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because that was with Kendrick.
That yeah. Yeah, that
All the
is. That
stars.
is. It's from Black Panther. Yep.
Yeah.
SZA has
Okay.
so many songs. Like so I consider her a living, breathing siren. Like you know how a mermaid is a siren and her
Uh-huh.
voice can just mesmerize you to do
Hmm.
anything. That is SZA for me. When her voice just comes out of her mouth, I don't even care what she's saying. I don't even know if I
Hmm.
understand half of the lyrics.
I'm gonna have to look her up.
I
I
that is
will.
just my boo. I love SZA.
Mhm.
She's just I love her. Love her.
But I know I love that song, so I didn't
That's
yeah, I didn't realize it was her. I just don't pay there's a lot of things I listen to, but I don't pay attention to who the artist is.
yeah.
I don't make it like I said, music has never been like my top thing, that what I love. So
I
I
like music consumes most of my day. Like when I'm
yeah.
In the car, I have to have music in the car.
Mhm.
You get in the car with me, I got a whole playlist going, and it could be anything from they done cussed you and your mama out to a smooth instrumental. So
Mhm.
you're gonna get a variety. What's crazy is so SZA has a new on her new album. She sampled "Girl from Ipanema." Like this girl, just I
Mhm.
mean, she's just very versatile as an artist.
Good. I mean,
Yeah,
you know who I did like for a long time, and I still like her, and I would like to see her in concert. Her. I used to love her.
she's great.
I love her stuff.
She's been kind of quiet here lately, right? I
She
haven't heard
has
any
been
new
kinda
music
she
from
has
her.
been kinda quiet, but I liked her. I put her up there with Mariah Carey, only because back in the day, Mariah Carey was it for me because she was so talented that anybody that writes their own music, and you don't necessarily have to be, but when that one album that she did and she wrote every song and I still listen to that album to this day.
Yeah,
She
that's Lauryn
And
Hill
that's how I
for
felt
me.
like with her.
Lauryn Hill for me. And SZA also she writes a lot of her own music. And because she is on I don't know if she's on Kendrick's label, they have a connection musically.
But yeah, I figured
Yes.
they did because I did see they were gonna be in concert together.
Yeah, but even but like when I first heard her first album ever, I was in a beauty salon and they were
Mhm,
playing shout out to Anik, which is no longer a salon. They've changed iterations since I
mhm,
used to go to Anik Nicole.
mhm.
I believe she's opened her business under a new name. But anyway, I first heard it. They put it over and you're black, you're in a salon for a minute. So I was able to hear the entire album and I was like, who is this? Like, who is this woman? And ever since then, it's been a wrap for me. Like anything SZA does, I'm down for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right. So, anything else?
There's so much, but we ain't got time
I
for that.
know.
We're gonna have to save it for
And
next week.
I am just not feeling good. I don't think I've been sick all year. I definitely haven't had a cold. And it is just a common cold. I did take a COVID, but I think been running around the last couple of days too, and I just want to just get in my bed. But then my wash machine broke and I was washing my linen and I'm just pissed about that too. So, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, we
I
gotta
haven't
cheer Shahida up, y'all. We gotta cheer her up. But you know where to
I
find
think
us. You
more sleep will help.
Yeah, more sleep. So take your day, like especially if you have time off you haven't taken, please take your
Mhm.
time off. I don't know who needs to hear that, but I've had several friends tell me that they're going into next year and they might not get to roll over all their days. I don't even understand.
Yeah,
That's a
I
foreign
don't roll like
language to me. I don't know that man. Like,
I
please.
can't take off this week because this is like Christmas week, and I always try to be there for my Christian friends. That's my duty
Why?
to help them out.
No.
And so
Why?
I'm
Take
praying for
take 4 days.
no, I'm helping out my friends who are taking off this week. So I'm gonna be at work
Just
these.
shut the office down.
I wish I could. I wish I could. I don't have that executive privilege to be like,
We need
we're
we
gonna
need
shut
more
down
time.
for
We
the week.
need more
It's
time off as
crazy how you have Christmas on a Wednesday and you gotta go back to work on Thursday.
We need more time
That's
off as an American society. I already pitched my idea.
that
I
is
already
disrespectful to Jesus.
I pitched my holiday
Celebrate his
idea.
birthday, even though we know it wasn't his birthday. To celebrate his birthday and then go back to work on the next day. That's just disrespectful.
Right. I
He's
agree.
he's better than that. He's better than that. But anyway, well, until next time,
Until next time, you know where we are. We are on Instagram. We are on YouTube. If you want to watch full episodes, we are on Spotify. We are on TikTok while it lasts. So please look for us at Little
I'm
State Big Voices. All we want for this holiday season and in the new year is we like people to follow us, like us. If you see something, you hear something, share it with people. Because sharing is
write us some
caring.
letters. Write us some
Yes.
letters.
Send us
Let's
some
start
letters.
the new year with some letters.
Slide into our DMs. We want to hear your problems, your curiosities, your concerns. Do you want us to go to a business? We'll go check it out for you. We'll watch the
Mhm.
movies and tell you if they're any good. We'll do all that.
I'll definitely watch some movies for you. As long as it's not black trauma, I'm there.
Yeah, let's avoid that.
All right, till next time. Have a
Until
great one.
then.
Peace out.